Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you for coming. I feel that since the pandemic, we're now just coming back. And I see a lot of familiar faces, and I greet you all, but I also see new faces in Miami, and I'm very excited that the tech community in Miami is expanding. And we have events like this one to connect, to interact, to ask questions, and to find new colleagues, new friends. So welcome all. Today, I'm going to speak about the impact of data experience and data solutions. I'm very happy, and you got very lucky because Matt's presentation was talking on some of the things that we're going to be talking now, and after that, there's a data visualization presentation. So it has a really good flow for all data practitioners and a lot of examples. All right, so let's kick off. There you go. Okay. Before we start, there's a little disclaimer that this is a private presentation. These are my opinions and some research that I've done. I'm going to be sharing some projects that are very exciting, explain a little bit what is data experience, what is it so important, how we implement it in the development of analytics solutions. And Matt was talking a little bit about that, so I'm very excited. So all opinions, research, and so on are from my private interest and my private time. And if you have any questions, just let me know afterwards, okay? So let me start with a little story. A month ago, myself and a group of women, we decided to go to Kilimanjaro and summit it. And we decided to get off the technology, turn off social media, turn off the phone, and so on. We were scared, we were excited. It was great. We got there, and we had this guide. This guide's name was Peter. He was a mountain man. We were excited in this mountain. Every night, we would get our oxygen levels measured and done like a huge checkup. I wore a Garmin, so I was always tracking all my values. I wanted to see what's the estimate, how is it going to be, am I going to make it to the summit, yes or no. I was very, very nervous. So on the night before summit night, we would get the oxygen levels measured. On the first day, it was 97% oxygen. The second day, 87, and then it gets to a point where you're like in the 60s, but we don't know, right? And on the top of the Kilimanjaro, there's 9% of oxygen. So you're only allowed to stay 20 minutes. The point of the story is the night before the summit, Peter said, we will not measure your values because it will only make you nervous. These values and the Garmin and the oxygen, the measure, they are tools. You need to listen to your body. And me as a data practitioner, I was thinking to myself, he's a data practitioner too. Like, he knows when to take data into context and how to read it and how to use it for our convenience. And you know what? We followed his advice. He was the guide. We went to Kilimanjaro. We summited. Everything was great. And I learned a lesson, how important it is, right? So what Peter was talking about is data literacy. So who of you know this person? Catherine? Yes, from Data Feminism, right? From the book, there you go. So I always try to showcase awesome female data practitioners in our field. This is Catherine, she's a professor for MIT. She also wrote the book of Data Feminism. And she talks about data literacy, how important it is. Data literacy is not only to work on data, talk about data, but use data within your conversations and leverage it in your decisions. And I feel that these presentations and even my presentations and the presentations coming back mention this because it's so important, especially now where we are. We're in a brink and a decision point and a tilting point in our society, in business, where we have so much access to data, there's so much intelligence, a super intelligence, where we need to be data literate. Okay. So follow her, she's amazing. And then today, finally we'll learn with the clicker. Today we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's not too technical, but it's very, very important, and you will be able to apply it the moment you leave this presentation. Another chart I want to show you is this. They're not just circles, they're ripples. So imagine a water, a pond, there's a drop, there's ripples. I saw this the first time last year in the Gartner conference. There was a lot of people, there were a lot of technical presentations, and then there was this one presentation about how to create meaningful insights with data. And the room was packed. And I was asking to myself, how is it possible that this presentation is not technical, yet it is packed? And also it got me thinking, this is about data literacy, how important it is. We're still there. The base has to be conquered to then go to more advanced levels of data solutions. This shows you the ripples effect of having a good base, of having good data, quality of data, trust in your data, structured teams, data governance, and data solutions that will empower not only the individual. So if you give someone the right data, but the right insights and the right tools for them to do some more research and use that data in their decisions, you will empower a team, you will empower an organization, and you will empower other organizations. Because as organizations are making business with other organizations, you get the point. I always like to look at this chart because it reminds me, and it makes me, it's like a Zen moment, like go back, okay, this is important. So today we're gonna talk about, what is data experience? What does it have to do with these ripples? I'm going to show you some research that I've done, some research that is out there that is very, very interesting, and it can be, again, applied into your organizations and your daily lives. And then, of course, we're in a Gen AI conference. How can you use existing Gen AI tools to leverage DX and to put it to practice? There you go. Okay, before we start, let me introduce myself. Talked already about Kilimanjaro and the ripples. So my name is Gabrysiak. I've been here in Miami 6-7 years, moved from Berlin, where I did all my studies. My background was computational linguistics, so back in the day, way, where there were no transformer models. We had linguistic models. That's actually my background. Then I swung into data science, text mining, and big data. And at some point, I remember being the doctor, and I was sick, and I was like this nerd. I was excited, and I saw the doctor taking notes by hand. I was like, how is this doctor so expensive taking still notes by hand? It still happens today. So that was a core moment where I said, everything that we're doing in technology still hasn't landed in society. So that got me to do a program in UX. And after that, to consolidate it, did a master's in data science. So I call myself a data scientist with the heart of a designer of a UX, and really, really learned the value of combining quantitative and qualitative research methods. And I still believe there can be very well combined. I work with startups, I work with a geospatial company, and then six years I've been working with Visa, first as a data scientist. I'm looking at my boss, I'm sorry, for her, my ex-boss. But I worked for Visa Consulting and Analytics. We have the Latin America hub here. We have developers here. We have data scientists in the house. I worked there for 4 years, and then since 2 years, I'm leading a data visualizations and insights team in a global data solutions. What is very interesting is going from a pure development to a product team, you do learn a lot. And things that I will touch base on it is seeing the solution that the model that I'm creating, the analysis that I'm creating as a solution that will be empowered, that will empower someone. So that was a big, big learning. All right. Oh, and also, I forgot. I tested it yesterday. There's a QR code. If you want to connect via LinkedIn, it should work. If not, let me know. But it's a trial and fail. So if you want it, there you go. Raise your phones, scan it, you'll be connected. If not, I have the same slide at the end. I want to meet everyone here. There you go. Okay, so data experience. Who of you knows data experience, uses data experience as a framework? Raise your hand. Oh, yay. Okay, 1, 2. You know, it's great that some people use it. They're smiling. The others don't, which is great because you're going to be transformed today to this new. Who of you are aware of UX, user experience? There you go. Okay, nice. So, as you know, it's kind of a not a hot topic, but in the last 10 years, it has been implemented for better customer experience, better user experience, to really know the pain point of your users and then develop the solutions and not the other way around. And that's why many companies have done a jump in their offerings, in their products. So I did a research just to see, because we have all these topics and terms, and now there's data experience, and there was usability and user-centered design. So, and I got here some numbers, but 2005, we started talking about data usability. I actually I started the Axis on the 2000s. In the 80s was a big spike on data experience. And I think that was related to big data, the boom of big data. It has nothing to do to data experience. I'm going to go into detail what exactly it is, but just to show you just an historical background and where we are today and why. We started having some more access to data collection, big data, and since the 2000s, at some point we started talking about data usability and the value they provide us as a commodity, as a product. Then we went on to, and that's the Excel, the time of Excel spreadsheets and those crazy dashboards that were very busy and so on. Then we started going to more usable, user-friendly, analytical data solutions like self-service analytics. So that's like the 2000s to 2010. Data literacy has been always there, right? But you see it in the last 10 years, they talk more about data literacy, how important it is. It's more democratized, right? The democratization of data, of analytical insights to maybe B2C, to more consumers. They're getting access to their data and making decisions with it. And then apparently what I looked is 2015 or 14, the introduction of data experience. Itself is really hard to put it, but if you see, there's some trend lines. It's very interesting if you have the time to check it. Other years and numbers that I wrote down is 2014 is when the generative adversarial networks came into play with Ian Fellow, creating images, and this is in generative AI. Then 2017, transformer models came into play. And after that, it was ChatGPT in 2020. And then today, we have so many generative models, we're in the age of AI, or we're going to the age of AI, right? Just to put it into perspective. So, oops. There you go. So going into an era and a time with there's so many data and generative AI, why is it so important to talk about data experience and usability and user-centric design, even in technical solutions and data solutions? What you see here is the very simplified XML. We've seen it in Matt's presentation. We see it everyone. Everyone is very, they know it, very familiar with it. You have an initial phase of project initiation, planning. You're looking to get your team, to get the technical requirements, to talk to the client, to get the budget. There's a lot of money, expensive data scientists. You get the platform. Then you do all the work of the data collection, doing the cleaning, the understanding, the analysis. Again, that is time and money and resources. Then you go into the model building and the testing and everything. You're doing this huge, huge project. And then towards the end, you'll have always a tipping point, which is a gateway. And that will be either a dashboard, a report, a web application, or something that you're going to use to translate your insights that you put so much work into, so much money, so many resources. And only that gatekeeper And if you're a really good speaker, you present that, but that is at the end what they use is where it's going to decide about the future of that project, be it by user adoption, be it by perception, you name it. I also like to look at this chart. It's very simple, but you get the idea why it's so important to put attention to a good data experience, which is the experience that a user does using that data, being enabled by that data by data solutions. What happens very often is not being paid attention. Most of the work is done before. You put a lot of effort into the models, put a lot of effort into the data, is it the right data, which is correctly, but then towards the end, you either don't have time or you don't put that much attention, or sometimes technical people, the data scientists, are in charge of building those dashboards, of building the web applications, of making the translation to that end user. And they're also not equipped for that. They should be focusing more on the models and the insights itself. Building a good dashboard, a good data visualization requires a lot of work. And I'm very happy that we have a data visualization presentation afterwards, so you're going to have a full view of the picture. So, data, and just to finish this remark, data experience is not one field. It's a combination of many fields. It's very recent. It's still very hard to put it into a true concept because it combines many disciplines. It combines user experience. User experience itself is also a combination for psychology, so sociology, design thinking, you call it, but also data science and data visualizations. That connection, that understanding will create a framework that you can use while you're developing a machine learning solution, a dashboard, anything that is a data solution, so that you don't fall into the many risks that we're seeing with bad data and bad examples, but also so you can enable that person and come up with a really good product, solution, service, you name it. Oops. Okay. All right. So we talked about this. You don't have to read it. The only thing, oops, I want to mention, looking great. The important decision will be like, how do we want to solve with this information? What problem do we want to solve with the information? So just keep that in mind. Again, I'm trying to persuade you and inspire you so that when you go back to your job and you're with the technical teams, it's really hard to forget about these things. It's always good to keep it in mind. Okay. Sorry, I don't know. I only see the reaction of the clicker if I go back. So the feedback's a little bit delayed. So for data experience, again, it is a field, but I see it as a framework, and I'm persuading you to think about it also as a framework and use it as such during the development of a technical project. It has many, many advantages. It provides a standardized way of delivery, as if you follow this design framework or conceptual development framework, it will give you a standardized way of delivering all of your data solutions, all of your dashboards, your reports within the company or outside in a standardized way. And what I really like is it gives you a mechanism for better understanding. Matt was talking about that, like how to take the 3-step back and as a data scientist have that sanity check that we need whenever we're looking at big data. It helps you understand why are you solving this problem, for whom, who is this person, and we'll see a little bit more in detail on why this is important. And it helps you to better document your solutions. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Not only the code documentation, but the code as a solution. And what is it, for whom is that developed, what are the needs, and you'll see that that way you can use it as a metadata catalog and will help you to better manage your models and your solutions. And then, of course, when it comes to the visualization or creation of solutions, it helps to operationalize and have a better process that it will allow you to better communicate where you are. It will allow you to also better translate those insights. Okay, all right. Okay, and then just a reminder that so quick question, how many of you is familiar with Cathy O'Neill's book, Weapons of Math Destruction? Math. We got a few. All right. So this is kind of a reference to her. With the rise of data usability and DX and UX, there's also more and more colleagues, data practitioners, they're collecting instances where, quote unquote, data has gone bad. And either because of data issues, data quality, data governance, or design issues, there has been real repercussions in society. And if you think about it, very, very often it's just a design failure, a design process failure. There is either the context, you're missing the context, and just as an example, 2018, I think Amazon came to the headlines, they had this hiring system based on gender, and they trained 10 years of data or resumes that they had in-house, and guess what? How many male resumes you think they had? Versus females. So you have, without them being aware, they probably were thinking about, where can I get these resumes? Can I use the resumes? How to process it? And they never thought about, I have unbalanced data. I have, I don't know how many percent, 80% of male resumes. And of course, the model after that started penalizing female resumes, creating an ethical and a highly biased issue. So that is resolved, but it's just one of the examples that are included into this book. It's great, I'll recommend it, and I can share the reference, but you have some types of problems, and unfortunately we have more. There's either the lack of context, and how to read the data, just like Peter, listen to your body, bias and ethics, and right now there's, or even the last years, very important bias in AI. Algorithmic bias is a real issue that we need to combat, data governance and also ethics in AI, because they do decide over many people and they have consequences. And again, think of the ripples. Sometimes the data science problem is way too complex, where you do need some human intervention to think, what is the solution to it? How can we solve it? And user adoption. Like sometimes if the user doesn't know how to use the proper data with the proper tool, it defeats the purpose because they're using it in the wrong way. And sometimes you don't have that much money and time for training. So those are just of the issues that are out there. That we're trying to tackle with this framework. And how does it work? We have different components, and out there's several specific templates and kits. I'll show you one. I know we have a Visa one. There's many, many, many out there. I'm just trying to point you into the right direction and give you the references, and then you use what is best for you. I use it in my daily practice. And we've been using it in 2 years, and it has helped a lot. And I was thinking about the last presentation here at Data Salon was 2019, where we were talking about machine learning, the different stages of the user journey. So that's very impactful. So the idea is data experience, as you see, has many consequences if done wrong or if it's not included as a way of thinking, as a framework again. And it can be seen or reduced to different components. The components can be either the audience, outcomes, interactions, purpose, data, feedback. I'm not going to go into too much detail. We could be talking about all of these for the whole day, but it's pretty straightforward. So with the audience, think about if you're a data scientist or a data science team or even a product developer, just think always about your user. You have your client, you have your end user. Who is going to use that data? In which context? Which medium? Is it in his phone? And we have the privacy policies of Facebook. I did a project on that, where the format of the PT is like 5 PT. They never took into consideration, or they did, I don't know. But think about the medium. Is it going to be used on a computer? Is it going to be used as a dashboard in your car? What actions that I'm trying to trigger? That's the outcome. All of these components in a data science or data visualization project, we use them as metadata. And if you think about it, it's almost like a corpus. You can annotate your solutions. Just like your coefficients, your parameters, your features that you're taking, you can use that metadata afterwards for better governance, for better communication, and for a better outcome. So the outcomes, I always like to say, and it's very simple, but you might think sometimes it's not done. Like, what are we trying to solve here? Why? What is the underlying problem? Do I really need so many insights, features in this dashboard, this visualization? What is the real issue behind it? Data quality, is my data balanced? Check on the distributions, check on the populations. There's a lot of tools out there, data visualization tools that allow you to have, descriptive analysis to understand better your data. There's a tool that I will be presenting to see how the populations are done and, what's the impact of your decision system, and it was great. And then feedback, which I really like. Not only the user feedback, if it's great, if they adopt it, okay, but also having a feedback loop, how they use that tool. And that's very powerful. I was reading that almost 80% of dashboards, if not more, I think it's more, or even data science projects that are not a big product, they're only used once. It's one-time development. And there's no recurrent feedback loop that you really need to update that system, but also to optimize your resources. So think about a data portal or a dashboard. You have usage metrics that you can take into account to also optimize what you're developing, what you're showing, and the impact that it's having in your company. So I don't know how many companies are doing it, but think about that included into your design process. All right, okay. Questions? Cool, all right. So let me show you this project and give you these references. Oh, sorry. All right. So I'm gonna show you these 3 projects. They're very inspiring. They helped me a lot. And you can take them right after this presentation and implement it in your team and your organization. The first one is from PAIR, the People and AI guidebook from Google. The McKinsey, everyone knows McKinsey, everyone knows Google. There's the design index. I'll tell you how to use it and why it's important. And then there's this project from Stanford called Data to Viz. So PAIR, does anyone know PAIR, the group PAIR? The People and AI research group at Google. It's basically data science, designers, user researchers. They get together and they do tools that empower people to defeat bias, to enable fairness in AI. And now they started creating educational materials. So today I'm going to show you the People and AI guidebook, how to use it, what is so important, and how to implement it in your team. Before that, let me talk about the McKinsey Design Index. McKinsey, everyone knows it, is a consulting firm. They also work with design, and one of the challenges whenever, especially in technical teams, you're talking about design and working with, let's say, multidisciplinary teams, including the design teams, is always how do I value design, the effort, in terms of money? Like, yeah, it looks nicer and people like it better and they're using it better, but how do I quantify that increase in dollars? That's really hard, and that's still a challenge. The McKinsey Design Index, what they did is also tracking a lot of information from many companies. And they have this survey that you can do, it's for free. And that way you can persuade your boss, your organization, why is it important. They actually did a regression and came out that, of course, the companies with the highest design index had a 1-to-2 growth difference with the benchmark in the industry. So it's a starting point to see where you are, what is your benchmark, where do we want to be, what is my vision, how can I include design in my data science team. And then there's the Data to Viz. Does anyone know this project? We have someone. Okay, so I'm very excited about this project, and it's automated data visualization, and we are in a generative conference. So they tackle data visualization as a machine learning problem, as a language translation problem. So basically, they're looking at your data set, all the metadata, the amount of variables, the type of variables, and then they'll translate them to the proper visualization. And this is great. I didn't know it was out there. You see organizations with design, they have guidelines. They're normally offline. You have to train people. It's really, really hard to turn a data engineer, a data scientist, or a data practitioner into a designer. It's a good approach to always try to expand people's practices, but this is a great way, and it's out there. They have the GitHub project, so I incentivize you to go out there and test it, to see data visualization or data experience as a machine learning problem. So next, I'm going to go to the pair. Yes, I love that group. So a few years ago, in 2019, I saw them in the Art Studio, when it used to be Art Studio conference, and they presented this tool. And I don't think I have that on the slides, but you can look it up. It's basically a storytelling data, or a scrolly telling data, you know, those where you're scrolling and it's interactive and explains to you machine learning. They did the same, and they took a paper where you have decisions on loan on different populations, and how your the model will impact on different populations, and you know the true negatives and the true positives and so on. But they did a very nice data visualization that was fighting that bias and creating a fairness. So that group got my attention. And I was looking in their website, and they came out with this guidebook. The guidebook, or the website, this set and collection of materials are for educational purposes, and it's comprised of a package called patterns, chapters, and case studies. The patterns is basically 23 different elements, just like I showed you the components, that you should be taking into your team whenever you're doing a data science project. Questions that you need to check, and they give very, very specific guidance. For example, data collection and evaluation, I like graceful failure, how to treat errors, and if you have again, a dashboard or an app where customers are dealing with the data directly, how can you explain the results in a proper way? Okay, then they have chapters where you can go more into depth about topics in data experience and how to build it into your product for success. And then they have case studies from Google. What I really, really liked, and that's why I brought it to you, to inspire you, is they have a set of slides and the facilitator manual, or how to use the guidelines and how to run a workshop with your team, and it is free for use. Okay, and now let's go to the third part of the presentation, which is, now that we're in the generative AI age era, we have access to so many tools. We have obviously ChatGPT out there, GitHub Copilot. I'm sure you're very familiar with these tools. How can we leverage that for a better data experience in my team? Obviously, we have code generation, and back in the day, yes, I mean, I was wondering, like, you don't need to learn Python anymore. Like, you just go there and you have to debug it, and there's so many jokes about it. But nowadays, you can really leverage these tools for code generation and fast code generations. Like we all know, and I don't know how much you work with JavaScript or JavaScript libraries like Shiny or Dash to create a web application, a data solution or data application. Just for a bar chart, it's just so much code. And you can save that now leveraging ChatGPT, which is amazing. And you should do it if you're not. Another use that is very effective is use these tools as your virtual assistant, as your soundboard. Again, all those components where you have to get that context of the tool, who is using it, but what other use cases are. You can generate use cases and testing cases so that you can scope the solution. And then obviously you can use data generation to test other cases, see how balanced or imbalanced your data is, and enhance data visualization. And for that, I wanted to hold on. Oh, yeah. There's new features from Tableau. I don't know how many from work with Tableau, and I'm going to speed it up. This year, they had the conference, and they brought a lot of new features that are in, within the generative AI realm. They have the Tableau Chat GPT or Tableau GPT, the Einstein feature. They have in Tableau Pulse. So Tableau Pulse is a real-time data monitoring that you can use, and it will help you to also do explanations, like ask data, and it allows for users to work directly with the data, ask questions, and create data stories by creating explanations that are completely generated by the system. And then Tableau Pulse can get you also like how are the changes in the data, is it robust, who's using this view, why are they using it, and that will go into the feedback loop that we talked before. So there are more use cases out there outside of the code generation, data generation, but there's this enhanced storytelling or the scrollytelling, which is really the future. How can we make impact? How can we leverage that data for meaningful solutions? All right. So with that, I'm coming to the wrap up. I see if people are hungry, so I'm going to push it. And right now you have the data visualization track, which is really in line with that. And remember, it's not the same. But remember, data experience is very important within the development process. It's a very powerful framework that would allow you to make more qualitative and better solutions, honestly. And then, sorry. Oh, didn't see it. And then I hope that these resources will help you. They can integrate them. And what they say, feed your creatives. When they say don't feed the creatives. So I encourage you and to use this, and I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. And as promised, here's again my QR code. All right. There you go. Okay. Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Thank you so much.